Welcome back to the Victory Education Lounge. I'm your host, Maurice, and today we're continuing our series with Part 5, The Evolution of Insulin Resistance, from Discovery to Today. Before we dive in, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. We'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences, so please leave a comment below. Ever wondered how our understanding of insulin resistance has evolved over the years? Buckle up for a fascinating journey through time. As we embark on this expedition, we're going to delve into the depths of medical history, tracing the evolution of a concept that has become so central to our understanding of metabolic health. This is part 5 of our series, where we're piecing together the puzzle of insulin resistance, from its origins to the present day. We've already covered a lot of ground in the previous episodes, but there's always more to learn. The importance of understanding insulin resistance cannot be overstated. It's a key player in conditions like diabetes and metabolic syndrome, and it affects millions of people worldwide. So without further ado, let's rewind to the very beginning of this story. Let's start from the beginning, where it all started, the discovery of insulin. The story of insulin resistance begins with the discovery of insulin itself. In the early 20th century, diabetes was a fatal disease with no known cure. All of that changed in 1921 when two Canadian scientists, Frederick Banting and Charles Best, discovered insulin. This hormone, produced in the pancreas, plays a crucial role in regulating glucose levels in the blood. The introduction of insulin therapy was a game changer, turning a death sentence into a manageable condition for millions of people worldwide. It was a breakthrough that forever changed the face of medicine, saving countless lives and offering hope to those diagnosed with diabetes. However, this was just the beginning of an ongoing journey of understanding. As the medical community began to unravel the complexities of this hormone and its role in the body, they started to notice something unusual. But as time went on, researchers began to notice something unusual. Not all patients were responding to insulin in the same way. This observation, made in the 1930s and 1940s, was a pivotal moment in our understanding of diabetes. Researchers began noticing that some patients required larger doses of insulin than others. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience, it was a sign of something more significant. It was the first hint of a condition we now know as insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, simply put, is when the body's cells don't respond properly to insulin. This means that glucose can't enter the cells as efficiently, leading to high blood sugar levels. But back in the 1930s and 40s, this concept was still in its infancy. The idea that the body's response to insulin could vary so drastically from person to person was groundbreaking. However, it was not until the 1960s that this phenomenon was formally recognized. Enter Dr. Gerald Reaven, an American endocrinologist who had been studying diabetes and its complications. He observed that not only were some patients requiring larger doses of insulin, but they were also often overweight and had high blood pressure. He hypothesized that these conditions were linked and that insulin resistance was the common thread. Reaven's work was revolutionary. He was the first to formally describe the concept of insulin resistance and its associated conditions, a cluster of symptoms he called Syndrome X, now known as metabolic syndrome. His research sparked a new era of diabetes study, leading to a deeper understanding of the disease and its complexities. So from the early observations of varying insulin responses in the 1930s and 40s, to the formal recognition of insulin resistance by Dr. Gerald Reaven in the 1960s, our understanding of diabetes and insulin resistance has come a long way. This laid the groundwork for future research and led to the concept of metabolic syndrome. From the 1980s onwards, our understanding of insulin resistance took a significant leap. Researchers began to notice a link between insulin resistance and other health issues like obesity and hypertension. This correlation led to the establishment of a new concept known as metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of conditions that occur together, increasing the risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. These conditions include increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat around the waist, and abnormal cholesterol or triglyceride levels. In the 1980s and 1990s, the medical community started to view insulin resistance not just as an isolated problem, but as part of a bigger picture. They discovered that when the body becomes resistant to insulin, other metabolic imbalances can follow, leading to a domino effect of health issues. Moving into the 2000s, our understanding of insulin resistance began to deepen even further. Scientists started to explore the cellular mechanisms behind insulin resistance. They found that it could be traced back to problems with how our cells respond to insulin at a molecular level. In particular, they discovered that when our cells are exposed to excess insulin over a prolonged period, they start to downregulate the insulin receptors on their surface. This means fewer insulin molecules can dock and deliver their message to the cell, leading to insulin resistance. Moreover, researchers have also identified a complex network of genes, proteins, and signaling pathways that are involved in insulin resistance. This has opened up new avenues for potential therapeutic interventions. These insights have not only helped us understand the root cause of insulin resistance, but also why it is so closely linked with other metabolic disorders. It has also paved the way for developing new strategies for prevention and treatment, focusing on addressing the underlying cellular mechanisms. With this deeper understanding, new strategies for prevention and treatment have emerged. Today, we have a wide array of tools at our disposal to combat insulin resistance. Let's start with the nutritional approach. Low-carb and ketogenic diets have been shown to rapidly improve insulin sensitivity. However, their long-term sustainability can be challenging for some people. For instance, John, a 45-year-old, reversed his prediabetes in 6 months on a ketogenic diet. Intermittent fasting is another strategy that not only improves insulin sensitivity, but also promotes weight loss. However, it may not be suitable for everyone, especially those with certain health conditions. Sarah, a 38-year-old, lowered her fasting insulin levels by 30% after 3 months of 16/8 fasting. Next, let's talk about physical activity. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, offers a time-efficient way to improve insulin sensitivity. However, it may be too intense for some individuals, especially beginners. Mike, a 50-year-old, improved his glucose tolerance by 25% after 8 weeks of FOI. Stress management techniques can also indirectly improve insulin sensitivity by lowering cortisol levels, but they require consistent practice to see benefits. Lisa, a 42-year-old, reduced her HOMA-IR score by 20% after 3 months of daily meditation. Sleep optimization is crucial for metabolic health and relatively easy to implement, but it may be challenging for those with sleep disorders or irregular schedules. Tom, a 55-year-old, improved his insulin sensitivity by 15% after prioritizing 8 hours of sleep nightly. Focusing on gut health is a promising approach, as emerging research shows strong links between gut health and insulin sensitivity, but it may require dietary changes and possibly supplementation. Emma, a 35-year-old, reversed her insulin resistance after 6 months of focusing on gut health through diet and probiotics. Continuous glucose monitoring provides real-time feedback on how diet and lifestyle affect blood sugar, but it can be expensive and may lead to obsessive behavior in some individuals. David, a 48-year-old, fine-tuned his diet and reduced his HbA1c from 6.2% to 5.4% using a CGM. Lastly, plant-based diets can improve insulin sensitivity and overall health, but they require careful planning to ensure adequate nutrient intake. Emily, a 32-year-old, improved her insulin sensitivity after transitioning to a plant-based diet. These are just a few of the many strategies available to us. Each has its pros and cons, and what works best will depend on individual circumstances, preferences, and lifestyles. While we've come a long way, research into insulin resistance continues, promising even better solutions in the future. Our understanding of insulin resistance has evolved significantly over the years, but the journey is far from over. From the discovery of insulin in the roaring 20s to the recognition of insulin resistance in the swinging 60s, and all the way to our current era where we're exploring new preventative strategies and treatment options. Each era has brought us closer to comprehending this complex condition. This journey has led us to modern solutions like low-carb diets, intermittent fasting, high-intensity interval training, stress management techniques, sleep optimization, gut health focus, continuous glucose monitoring, and plant-based diets. Each strategy has its own advantages and challenges, and what works best may vary from person to person. Yet the quest for understanding doesn't stop here. The field of insulin resistance research is continuously evolving, with new discoveries around every corner. Stay tuned for the next part of our series where we'll dive deeper into each of these modern solutions and prevention strategies. Until then, remember, knowledge is power, and together, we can conquer insulin resistance. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the evolution of insulin resistance. Don't forget to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. The information in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Any health-related decisions should be discussed with a licensed physician. Stay curious, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next video.